So today I'm going to review the movie Inside Out. So basically this movie tells the story of an 11-year-old girl named Riley who's in a very tough spot in her life. She just moved into a new town, she had to leave her friends, she's in a new school, she doesn't have any friends there. And while all these emotions are affecting her, we get to see how inside her brain how these emotions are being characterized, being personified as real characters. And throughout the film we get to see how these characters and interact with each other and decide and control Riley and control her emotions as well. We start off with Riley as a baby and joy being the first emotions to ever appear inside her brain, and as she grows older and all these other emotions starts to appear, and all these emotions helped her lead an amazing life. These emotions dictate how she behaves and how she reacts with the world around her, and the movie really starts off when Riley had to move away from her town and move to San Francisco, where everything around her is odd and she is not used to it. She got a new school, she had to make new friends and live in a not so comfortable place, and these sudden changes in her life upsets her emotions rhythm, where in before they were normal routine, they were very easy to conquer, and with this new atmosphere they had to adapt to the new changes. They tried to control the situation too much, but it led Riley to more confusion. The story continues. During Riley's first day of school, an accident happened involving Riley's core memories. Joy and sadness were sucked away from HQ along with these memories, and making Riley unable to feel happy. After that, they went on ventures to go back to HQ. Along the way, they met with Riley's old imaginary friend Bing Bong, who helped them throughout these adventures to go back to HQ. Throughout these adventures, the other emotions, fear, anger, and disgust, struggles to control Riley's behavior, making Riley acting weird and to her surrounding and making her rude to her parents thanks to anger. All these affected Riley's personality islands, and one by one, these personality islands started to collapse, making Riley not like herself, not like her usual joyful self. Through the midway of the movie, the remaining island left was Family Island, and Joy rushed to the island to go back to HQ, where after that, right there and then, the Family Island started to collapse, and Joy fell down to the Forgotten Pit. When all hope seems lost, with the help of Bing Bong and his rocket, Joy made it out from the Forgotten Pit. After that, Joy and Sadness went out their way to go back to HQ. Meanwhile, in HQ, the other emotion struggles to make Riley happy, and they thought that if they want to make Riley happy, she should go back to her old town where all her friends were there. So they decided that Riley should run away from home and go back to her old town. During school time, Riley went out of their house and went to the bus station to buy a ticket to go back to her old town. At the time, Joy and Sadness made it to HQ right when the bus started to move. The HQ was a mess, and Joy thought that she would be the one who steers Riley to make her happy. But after a long look, she gave Sadness, the one who never held the steering wheel, to lead Riley's emotions. Riley went back home and bursted into tears and was comforted by her parents. After that, the movie was pretty much as you expected it. Riley adapted to her new change, she became happy, and at the end, she was happy. There are a lot of characters in this movie, like Riley herself, joy, sadness, anger, disgust, fear, Riley's imaginary friend Bing Bong. But what I want to talk about is the characters that I like and the characters that I dislike. The character that I like is obviously Joy, because she runs the HQ and she's in charge of making Riley happy. She's very positive and she works so hard to make Riley happy all the time. This is the example that we need to take from her, by being positive. And the character that I dislike is Anger, because he's in charge of making Riley angry, mad at things, and him himself in the movie is very toxic. So that's why I hate him, because he's a bit toxic towards others. The scene that I find most memorable is when Joy and Riley's imaginary friend Bing Bong was fallen from the forgotten pit, and Bing Bong sacrificed himself in order for Joy to reach out of the forgotten pit, because if both of them got into the same rocket, from the scene there was this rocket where if they sing it can shoot you off, but if both of them were sitting in the rocket, the rocket won't fly high enough so that they can both get out. So that's why Bing Bong sacrificed himself, and this scene is very touching. It's very sad to see how a loving character goes away, and it also tells us that everyone grows up, and things that we do when we were kids will all be forgotten away as we mature and grow older. So today I'm going to review the movie Inside Out. So basically this movie tells the story of an 11-year-old girl named Riley who's in a very tough spot in her life. She just moved into a new town, she had to leave her friends, she's in a new school, she doesn't have any friends there. And while all these emotions are affecting her, we get to see how inside her brain, how these emotions are being characterized, being personified as real characters. And throughout the film we get to see how these characters and interact with each other and decide and control Riley and control her emotions as well. I want to say that this movie doesn't have any weakness, but I have to say it as well because it's part of the scheme. The weakness that I find in this movie, that there are scenes where Riley disrespects her parents by raising her voice, and that these actions might not look big, but if a child sees this, they can maybe be influenced by this. I hope not. Please God, no. In my opinion, this movie is perfect as itself, but if I have to make an improvement, I would make Riley a bit older so that the age demographic would have a much higher range so that a lot of people can enjoy this. Finally, I would like to say that I enjoy this movie very much because of its uniqueness, its relatability, and I would recommend every one of you guys to watch it. And I rate this movie a 10 out of 10 because of it, because of its uniqueness. It doesn't need a villain to make this movie interesting like all the other mainstream movies. Yeah, definitely go watch it. It's a great movie. I would recommend it.